Everybody, welcome back to Foosball. We got some great topics to talk about today. I am joined by Chief Greengrass, as usual, and Doug Hype over here. We got some fun preseason stuff to talk about. Probably, not my favorite time of year preseason, but we got some interesting stuff. So let's go over the topics. We'll see what you guys think. Topic 1, Packers, same problems. Should we worry? Maybe. Topic 2, should starters play in the preseason at all or a lot? And topic 3, we're going to talk about the Sandros QB tier list. So, Dave, what are you looking forward to the most out of those 3 items?
I can't wait to talk about Packers. Same problem. Should we worry? That just makes every day beautiful.
It's topic number,
Yeah, topic number 1. All right, what about you, Hype? What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, the thing is that we have this mystique in the offseason. The Bears are very good at this too, where you see your team practicing, everyone looks like they're an all-pro.
Yeah.
And then they play a game against another team and they literally go from never dropping a pass, making amazing moves in practice to looking like they're a fucking JV team.
So, I mean, let's talk about that because Romeo Doubs looks great in practice. Is that because our cornerback room is the worst in the NFL? Or is it because Doubs just can't play on Sunday? Right?
I think the Packers have a problem with just not being able to step up and just man up and just play tough, good football when they are in a football game. You know what I mean? It's a problem the Packers have had a long time, in many years, many seasons where they just look soft. They just didn't step up to play and deliver when they needed to, and just constantly making mistakes. And it's almost like when you would watch the Raiders and they would have 20 false starts in the game or something, when you're like, what is even happening here?
I mean, how poignant is it that the very first play of the game, the return, we get a holding penalty right off the bat, right? Just same old Packers, first play, bonehead mistake by the special teams, right? And then very next, 2 passes on third down, we've got a drop. A pretty obvious drop from Romeo Doubs. It hit him in the hands, which is, tough.
Well, he did. Sauce Gardner did knock it out. So the thing is, Sauce Gardner was making plays on Romeo.
Yeah, Sauce made an amazing play on it.
Yeah.
He did.
But you're right. They're not going up against a Sauce Gardner in practice. So then when they go up against a legit, really good cornerback, they're like, oh, I thought I was so good. And now this is different.
But also, if you want to tell your GM, hey, I'm the number 1, right? Don't bring in this new rookie. I'm the top dog. And that's your first chance to showcase yourself. And it looked like it was pretty easy for Gardner. He makes everything look easy. But for him to just reach around and deflect that ball, Doubs couldn't fake him out of anything. So
no.
You're not going to always go up against that every week. Sauce Gardner is definitely a pretty top-end cornerback with the length. He's got the long arms. He can knock stuff out.
Oh, yeah, he's a Jalen really Johnson of the AFC East.
But the thing is, you are going to go up against.
I praise Dave. I praise Dave. One of the top 3 best cornerbacks in the league is
absolutely. Yes, he is.
Almost as good as Jalen Johnson. Okay. So here's my main concern is just bonehead mistakes, stupid penalties. Yeah, and yes, Sauce made a good play, but it's third down. You get paid to make those catches, just like he gets paid to knock them out.
The problem is we see this happening all the time, not just this game, right?
This isn't one play. This isn't one incident. This happens.
It was the whole last season.
Yeah, we had the most third down drops of any team by a mile last year, right? Then the one third down, Matthew Golden catches his. So, obviously, and he was on Sauce.
You'll notice not only did he has more separation, so he can get away from a Sauce Gardner, but also he's reached out and made a nice catch. That catch he made didn't make me seem great to everybody, but that's a catch that people like Doubs drop all the time because it's not right here.
Yep, exactly. Doubs doesn't even catch them all when they're right there either. So. And they played the defense, too, with Justin Fields and, the Jets offense that Rodgers couldn't do anything with, and they just pummeled them right down the field. I mean, absolutely pummeled the Packers right down the field. Run defense was our strength.
Just running at will.
And that's going to be a problem for everybody. But, we allowed, Braylon Allen almost just destroyed Zane Anderson because he got 8 yards untouched. Straightforward. Do you know what I mean? 8 yards untouched. No defensive lineman, no linebacker in his way. So, Zane is going to get run over. He's not there to tackle a guy 30 pounds
He's
bigger.
He's more of a coverage guy than a tackler.
Yeah, exactly. I don't expect safeties to blow up Derrick Henry. Do you know what I mean? So, he's a big dude. Braylon Allen is a big dude.
Yeah, he will run guys like that over.
I was wondering if he was going to be out for the preseason when I saw that hit live.
But here's the thing about Braylon Allen and Derrick Henley is they take a minute to get going. So it's your fault if they have a full head of steam. It's your D-line and linebacker's fault if he has a full head of steam and he's blowing up a safety.
Well, part of it is a lot of guys like Quay and some of the linebackers have been kind of hurt, maybe not practicing as much. And
sure. And again, it's preseason, but it's just that game was so bad that it's worth talking about. Normally, I could care less about preseason, but they were so bad in that game.
How do you feel about Keyshawn Nixon missing Justin Fields in the open field on that touchdown run? Did you see that?
I feel like I expected that. Yeah, Keyshawn Nixon is not good. I mean, I don't know how many more times I can say it.
That play was an amazing example of Packers football. Everybody on the defense had their heads up. They're looking around. Keyshawn Nixon, the reason he was there to miss him was because he made the right play. He came in and filled in to basically just run that kind of joker zone to make sure, to spy and what's going on. It looked great. But then Justin Fields squeaks by an arm tackle. And then he just looks at Keyshawn Nixon and says, bye, I'm just going to go this way, and runs for a touchdown. Yep. And all the good ideas and positioning and stuff just didn't work.
Yep.
That's football. You got to
all of the coaching did what they could. And at that point, the player needed to make a play.
Yeah.
And part of that is the defensive line not quite getting enough pressure and not disrupting enough, right? So when the offense can be comfortable, the quarterback can kind of just focus in on what he needs to do and not worry too much. That allows them to kind of be a step ahead of everyone and make those plays. That's why we wanted to have crazy disruptive defensive linemen to get in there. So it's way harder for them to be focused.
Which we don't have, and it's going to be a problem all year. And look, I think Hafley's a good defensive coordinator. I think the Packers defense overperformed a lot last year, and I think it had a lot to do with the teams that we were playing and when we played them. But you can still see in a lot of the metrics in the stats, we just weren't a good defense. And that's going to show up this year. We are going to get burned in some games when we're relying on Keyshawn Nixon, when we're relying on Luke Van Ness to make a play, right?
Although LVN has looked way better this year, the problem is, though,
that was all against the Packers.
Well, he played pretty well in the preseason game, I guess. From what
he was okay.
He looked pretty decent. But the problem is, they're not disrupting where they're really getting in there and causing trouble. They're just looking pretty good. They are creeping in there, getting a sort of a nice pass rush, but the quarterback can just kind of do what he wants. There's just nothing dangerous about it.
I mean, look at him at Iowa. Same thing with Rashawn Gary. We got guys with lots of talents who almost produce results, but don't actually produce results. They're the same players they were in college. Rashawn Gary has been really good at getting pressures and really bad at the percentage of sacks out of those pressures, right? So, I'm not surprised. That's kind of the guys they go for. They're going to somehow fix them, but they don't seem to fix them. Do you know what I mean?
They had a decent amount of sacks last year, but a lot of that was covered sacks.
Well, and they also had 7 sacks in 2 different games against terrible offenses. So I think it inflated the numbers.
We do have to give credit for the secondary, even though they're not the greatest at cornerback. Well, they did get a lot of coverage sacks.
The Tennessee game when we still had Jair, I think we had 7 in that game. And then there was another game we had 6 and another game we had 5. But there was a bunch of games where we had none or 1. Right.
I feel like Xavier McKinney and the safeties like Evan Williams are doing a good job to really help cover that up.
Yeah. Over the top, I'd say we're fine.
I've heard also that Javon Bullard looks really good when he's playing in that safety. He's making smart moves. He's not the fastest guy. I don't think he can play slot corner, but he can play safety. And he did make a good play in a couple plays in the preseason on pushing his wide receiver into the quarterback and stuff. So
no, I think Javon Bullard is a good defensive player. He's just one of those guys that probably should be a linebacker, but he's not big enough. And he should be a cornerback, but he's not fast enough. So he's kind of a safety, but we have a safety who's better than him. And Evan Williams.
He's the Keyshawn Nixon of safeties is what he is.
Don't ever do that to him. Poor guy. No.
But I'm sorry, but in coverage, he's what he looks like.
Yeah, he's not great at coverage. No, which is why he needs to play close to the line.
But he's good at other things. He's smart. He's smart. Have been glowingly talking about him during preseason.
He's a smart player, and I think he has a place on the defense, but not as a starter, as a nickel down, coverage run safety. But we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's one preseason game. I'm not freaking out. But it's just kind of sad that the Packers are still the Packers. They're the same. They're exactly the same. They make the same mistakes.
If they keep playing like this into the early season, it's going to be kind of sad. So we're hoping that maybe they can get their
We'll see how it goes. I mean, to be honest, dude, we are – the Packers, if anything, are the off-season what's the opposite of champions? Like the Packers are the offseason like dumpster fire every year because we don't sign free agents, we don't do enough of this, and we don't make any big moves, right? Even though last year we got a wide receiver, the year before that we signed some free agents, but we are not the Cinderellas of the offseason. So, you know, the fact that we start a little slow and we look about the same kind of makes sense. So I'm not freaking out about it, but it was pretty ugly to watch, to be honest.
Yeah,
All right.
I think they're just not a gritty team. They either have to beat you by like finesse and speed, but they're not. I mean, but who knows? They could change in the middle of the season if they get their shit together.
So now that said, there's only 2 games left. We're probably not going to see the starters anymore. So, you know, let's go into topic 2, which I think is a really good one, which is should starters play more in preseason? And not just Green Bay, but all teams, all starters. Like, I have opinions on this, but I'm going to start with Dave because he's got opinions on if starters should play. So go ahead, Dave.
Pretty much any team that has a quarterback under the age of 30 who doesn't have 4 years of experience with the coordinator with the system, they need to be playing at least 2 series. Chicago, we've been hearing about how the Bears are having issues lining up in practice. People aren't going in the right spots. Cadence has been a big thing. Caleb being able to call, get the play barked out in the huddle, and then getting everybody lined up without getting a delay of game. That's been a big headline all throughout training camp. Why not do it in the preseason game? Why not get those live reps? I understand that they're saying that in those when they played against Miami in practice, they were doing a lot more stunts, everything else on defense. Teams don't tend to show their hands as much during the scrimmage games that are televised. They see a lot more of the real world defense in those practices. But you need to get every rep that you can. Look at a team that hasn't had their starters play in the preseason for the last 3-4 years, the Cincinnati Bengals. How have they started for the first month with the most dynamic quarterback wide receiver duo that there is? You don't need to look any further than that. They suck in the first month. And now this year, what'd they do? Very first game, they had Burrow out there. They had both their wide receivers, and they're executing. So why doesn't the rest of the league, especially if young quarterback, new scheme and everything else, why don't you at least give it to that was one of the few things that Eberflus did last year. The first game he had Caleb go out for 2 series. We had 2 3-and-outs because he looked like dog pee. And so he sent him out there for a third. So you need to get the reps. You need to get timing. Practice is nice, but it's better to do it against somebody else. Just get rid of the yips. So, yeah, starters definitely need to play at least 2 series in each preseason game. You don't have the 4th anymore, but the first 2 weeks of the regular season are terrible. Offense is always terrible, and there's a reason why.
Yeah, so I'll get into that too. So, Hype, go ahead. What do you think about it?
I was going to say specifically for the Bears, especially, they're learning a new scheme. Like, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, people like Aaron Rodgers say the preseason's like useless or whatever, I guess, because it doesn't, like, maybe nothing's on the line or whatever, I guess. I think they should be playing people all the time. Just put them out there and play. The first couple of weeks of the seasons are often like just trash.
Yeah.
And then by midseason, especially a team like the Bears that are usually young, have new quarterbacks, like they halfway through the season, all of a sudden they start playing like a lot better than they did in the beginning of the season. And we want to see good football playing. Of course, we don't want to have like tons of injuries, but this is partly a problem the NFL created itself. It added more games.
Yeah.
It's making people travel more. It's making people play on Thursdays and stuff. So then, to leverage against that, what we're going to do is just make the preseason like just maybe not even be a thing at all. And we'll just play lots of games. And it's like, dude, no, we want good games. We want good games where people are playing well. They're playing their potential. Teams are younger and younger every year. You know what I mean? Like the Packers are always very young. So you have all these people on the Packers are a perfect team. They make tons of mistakes. You have all these teams with talent on paper that look good. They have a good raw score, athletic score, all this stuff. The Packers are a perfect example of this. Christian Watson, great athletic score, all this stuff, right? But you got to play the game of football. You have to be good at football in situational football when it's third down or whatever, what are you going to do? And there's one bright spot on this for the Packers, which is Matthew Golden, who's a good example of a guy that just goes out there and in situational, make the play, make the catch. But the reason that it's really interesting to look at him is then you realize like he's a rookie in the first preseason game, and he's already more of a veteran than all these other guys playing. Like they're not at that level yet. They need the reps. They need to be out there, especially with the Packers having 6 wide receivers they rotate. Like they need to be out there playing as much as possible to get that mojo with Jordan Love that they seem to like lose all the time.
So my thought is this, like, I think the NFL has changed to where there's so much video, there's so much tape, there's so many analytics that the use of the preseason is almost diminished to the point of not being necessary at all. So back in the day, they had 4 games because you were drafting guys out of college that your scout saw. You know, you didn't have tons of tape. You didn't have all these athletic scores. You didn't have all this. So you needed to see how they played to see if they were going to make the roster. I don't think preseason games determine who makes the roster at all anymore. I don't believe that's a thing. I think enough of tape and enough of practice. And I mean, coaches have all this information. The preseason is not about who's going to make the team anymore. It's not what it used to be. So I'd like to see 1, maybe 2 preseason games, because we know the NFL's adding another game and they just keep pushing it out past January into February and March. Screw that. I want the Super Bowl still to be in January and push NFL back to like starting in July. Like it should be starting now. The season starts now. There's maybe 1 preseason game, right? Just so you can get some guys out there that need the reps, that need the practice, like Doug is saying, but then boom, you're in the season. Less injuries that way. And again, preseason is just not what it used to be. Everything they do in practice, everything they do with these team practices.
They're showcasing their players so they can maybe trade them. They're trying to showcase that, oh, here's our backups.
Yeah, but again, guys have so much tape. Everybody has tape on everybody. Do you know what I mean? It's because it's the digital age. The games mean so much less than the potential and the athletic score and something else. Like if they play really well in the game, it might tick them up a notch. Back in the day, how they played in the game was like 80% of your decision. I feel like it's like 5 or 10% now or less, because it's all based on what you see on tape, what you have for their score, what kind of metrics they're doing. You have so much data that game performance, even though I think it's still in there, especially in the preseason, I think game performance is a smaller reasoning than ever before. So why not just get rid of another game and jump into the season sooner? And in those preseason games, starters should be required to play half the game. Like half the game, play the starters. The second half, play all the guys that are trying to make the team, right? Or, you know, something like that. The starters don't play at all, and we have to watch three games of dudes that, you know, we don't know if we're
part of the problem though is that they don't even hit in practice anymore. So these games are like the only time they have to like actually play football.
Yeah, you only get 12 practices with pads on.
Right, 12 games.
And they don't even hit in those practices half the time.
Well, some of them you never hit the quarterback, obviously, but like, I mean, these guys have been playing football for.
Well, you saw the family night scrimmage. You know, literally there was no tackling at all. They just touched people. And that's what most practices are like. Most of them are
like the Pro Bowl. So that's what I'm saying. Just get into the season. If that's how you're going to practice, I mean, what's one preseason game going to do to change that? Do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of over preseason. I think they need to get rid of it. Maybe not completely, but I think it's too drawn out. And I think the product that they're giving us in week 1 and 2 is terrible anyway. It's awful the first few weeks because none of the starters play. So if you're not going to play the starters and you're not going to decide who makes the team based on those games, like what's the point? Do you know what I mean? That's my opinion. I don't see the point of a 3-game preseason, maybe a 2-game, maybe a 1-game for me. And if you are going to extend it to 18 games in the future, get rid of another preseason game. Hell, get rid of 2. Get rid of them all for all I care. I can do without the preseason personally. I'm done with it. I literally do not care. So, but we'll see how it goes. I think it's just all analytics and tape now. I don't.
Yeah, in the future, it'll be like the first time they actually tackle another human beings in their first game. Like they will really never tackle a person until the game starts.
I mean, you know, other than all their years in college and high school playing, like, you know, it's different. I get it, but I just don't see how games affect players nearly as much with all the tape and all the data that we have these days. I just don't see it. So, all right, well, let's move on to something else that is maybe based on tape, maybe based on opinion, but we're going to go to Mike Sando's QB tier list. Do we think this is legit? So let's give you guys a little bit of information on this. So the tier list ranks them 1 through 5. So a tier 1 quarterback is a quarterback that can carry their team on their own, right? That doesn't necessarily need a lot of help around him. A tier 2 quarterback is a quarterback that can sometimes carry their team, maybe needs a little help, but has like a hole in their game, right? A tier 3 quarterback is someone that needs a good amount of help. They probably need a good defense or a good offensive line. They've got a decent amount of holes, but they're a good starting. They're a starting quarterback. Like there's no doubt they're a starting quarterback. So that's a tier 3. Tier 4 is where they probably aren't starting level. Maybe they could be if they have a ton of help. And tier 5, why are you in the NFL? So that's the tiers. So Doug, could you share the list of the tiers so the people can see it? Let's see that list.
Here's a beautiful ChatGPT 5 tier list.
So thanks ChatGPT version 5 for being the worst version yet. We really appreciate how terrible
it did. Hey, but look at different colors and everything. You know what I mean? Like
literally, I could have made this on a Commodore 64. So like, I don't even know what they're doing right now. But all right, so let's get into it. So Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar, and Stafford in tier 1 now. Okay. Jaden Hurts, Justin Herbert, Jared Goff, CJ Stroud, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, Dak Prescott, Jordan Love, and Brock Purdy finishing out tier 2, followed by Kyler Rodgers, who drops down to who's T-Law? I don't know who T-Law is.
Trevor Lawrence.
Oh man, T-Law. Sorry, Trevor Lawrence.
Not Ty Law.
Yeah. Geno Smith, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, and Kirk O'Chains is obviously Kirk Cousins, the legend himself. And tier 4, a bunch of guys that are still in the league. I mean, Penix tier 4, kind of hard to say. JJ McCarthy, hard to say. The fact that they're on the same tier as Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. And Spencer Rattler. Sorry, guys. It's just because there's not enough tape on you.
Why is Flacco in tier 4? He should be tier 0. He should be above Mahomes.
I mean, Flacco is his own tier.
Browns and Flacco together.
There's no tier 0. There's just tier Flacco. There's nobody like Flacco. All right, let's bring it down. So you guys have your list. You can see it. Let's all pick
we do just want to go into one thing where the results were from Mike Sando. He pulled 50 NFL coaches and executives.
Right. So these are guys.
Here are the requirements. Everything's completely anonymous and whatnot. So it's
not
legit
a
insiders.
Sample size, but at least it's something, I guess.
I mean, 50 is pretty good. It's at 1 to 2 from a team. Let's say. I'm sure some teams it's a couple guys.
It could be the janitor. It could be the coach.
Yeah, and who wants to talk.
These are NFL coaches and exectives.
Coaches and executives, right? So, I mean, what is an executive janitor? I don't know. Maybe they exist. It's possible.
It's the executive janitor.
Yeah,
you just looked at the file chart. Oh, this is okay.
So, all right. So here's another thing to throw in there. So out of these 50 some votes, Mahomes got all of them tier 1. Joe Burrow got all tier 1. And then a couple people put Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson voted them tier 2. Obviously they finished in tier 1 because it was like 48 votes to 3 or 49 votes to 2. But I'm like, who's voting Josh Allen a tier 2 quarterback?
What Stafford's wife voted for? Did she vote Stafford for tier 1 or tier 5?
Now, here's another funny one. I'll bring this up. So Rodgers, as you guys saw, was in tier 3, right? And he got a decent amount of tier 3. So the way it is you can vote on the quarterbacks, guys, and you can vote tier 1, 2, or 3. So Jordan Love, for example, finished toward the back of tier 3 or tier 2, excuse me, because he had 28 tier 2 votes and 26 tier 3 votes. So the NFL is kind of like he's right in that range of tier 2 or tier 3, but he just made it into tier 2. Aaron Rodgers was handily in tier 3. He got like 39 tier 3 votes. He got a couple tier 4 votes, like 2 or 3 tier 2 votes. And somehow, some way, he got a tier 1 vote. Now, I don't know if Nathaniel Hackett still counts as an NFL coach, but they shouldn't have called him, because I know that was Nathaniel Hackett, because nobody in their right mind would put Aaron Rodgers as a tier 1 quarterback other than Nathaniel Hackett. So we know he's in there. So at least one of these votes for each quarterback is null and void. Just keep that in mind.
It was probably someone on the Steelers, I'm guessing.
I was going to say, was that Tomlin?
Or it was, I don't even think, no, Tomlin wouldn't do that. It might have been the GM that assigned him, but, or like I'm telling you, it's Hackett. It's got to be Hackett. No one else is going to vote Aaron Rodgers as a tier 1 quarterback. On that same note, Stafford got tier 1, but he got a ton of tier 2 and a ton of tier 1. So he was right on the cusp, but he got just a little bit more tier 1. So he ended up in there. So I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about Matthew Stafford. So should I go first, or do you guys want to talk about? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, go for it.
Do I think Matthew Stafford is a tier 1 quarterback? No, I do not. Do I think he's a very, very, very good tier 2 quarterback? Yes, I do. You want to know why? Matthew Stafford has been horrible in the playoffs, other than the one year they won the Super Bowl, and he played a good game against the Eagles last year. So maybe it's a little recency bias, but he has not been a good playoff quarterback, and he consistently throws to the same receiver over and over and over and over again. And yes, he's very talented, but he also costs you a bunch of games because he throws a ton of picks, guys. Let's not forget, Matthew Stafford throws a ton of picks because he's predictable and he throws to his number one receiver all the time, whether it's Puka, whether it's Megatron, which I can't really blame him, for Megatron, but I don't think Stafford's a tier 1 quarterback. And let's remember too, in that Super Bowl, Aaron Donald was the best player in that Super Bowl. He took over the game near the end, which is why Stafford had the opportunity to make that last second drive where he threw, surprise, surprise, 5 passes in a row to Cooper Kupp. Right. And the Bengals just forgot to guard him for some reason. So no, is Matthew Stafford a tier 1 quarterback? He is not. I do not think he can carry a team by himself. It has been proven historically that he cannot carry a team by himself. And he has had some really horrific playoff performances. But yes, he is a Super Bowl winner. So I'll give him his props. But I don't think the Rams won that Super Bowl because of how good Matthew Stafford is. End of story. Like, that Bengals defense wasn't great. The Rams defense is what won them that game. So that's my 2 cents on the list that stuck out to me right away. So yeah, I can understand why he's kind of on the cusp, but just for me, I think he's a tier 2. All right, Dave, what stands out on the list for you?
On the list?
Yeah. Like, if you had to pick a quarterback that's in a tier that doesn't make a lot of sense to you, or you just don't agree with, what do you think? Do you think it's a pretty comprehensive list? I mean, that can be your opinion.
I think it's a good list. I like where Dak wound up. I like where Baker. He was the biggest mover this year because he struggled first couple of years. He finally got the system, so now people are believing him a lot. I like those moves up. I like Purdy getting his credit as a tier 2. He's not elite, but he is right at the cusp between tier 2 and tier 3.
Right.
But the legitimate starter that needs a heavier running game or defensive component, Kyler Murray retained it, but I don't believe in him.
You don't even think he's tier 3?
I don't think he's a tier 3. I don't think he's a legitimate starter.
What?
He has talent,
man,
but he doesn't pull it together. He doesn't lead a team. If I think someone's a legitimate starter, I want to be able to lean on. They gave him
Harrison.
two elite weapons. They gave him Harrison, and he doesn't know how to use them.
Yeah,
they gave him Trey McBride, so he dumped everything to McBride. You take Connor off of that team, do they even win all of those games? As many as they did? They had a middle of the road win-loss record, but a lot of that was James Conner. Yeah, and that's where I think they had him right at the top of tier 3.
Right at the top, dude. Yeah.
Average
he's next to Brock Purdy. Literally, they're next to
he's right behind Brock. Dude, okay, if I'm starting a franchise today and I can pick Brock Purdy or Kyler Murray, you're telling me you're picking Brock Purdy starting a franchise today? No, you are not.
He's a better decision maker.
Okay,
Kyler is not a good decision maker.
Okay, the Cardinals franchise. I'm not saying I think Kyler Murray is a great decision maker. Okay, the Cardinals franchise and the 49ers franchise are night and day. If you put Kyler Murray in the Shanahan system, you're telling me he's going to perform worse than Brock Purdy? That's
the problem. He's not, though. The Cardinals have destroyed him, so that's why he's low.
Dude, I have literally seen
Brock Purdy can be coached. Brock Purdy's willing to put in the effort.
Jimmy Garoppolo put up inhuman numbers in San Francisco. Everyone's seen it, right? It doesn't matter who you put in that San Francisco system. That's why Brock Purdy's an anomaly. He's an accurate quarterback that makes good throws. He is not as good as Kyler Murray. Get out of here. Like, no way.
Do you think Kyler's studious? Or
no.
Do you think he's a temperamental child?
I don't know about that. But I'm just saying, dude, Kyler Murray,
if he's not in the mood to do something, he's not going to do something.
Kyler Murray,
if he doesn't feel like reading a book, if he doesn't feel like reading the playbook, he's going to do something else.
Dude, that's from years ago. Let's chill.
No, I wasn't even saying Call of Duty. It's just the way that he carries himself.
Right.
He thinks he walks around like he's the big man.
Yes, he does.
But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like he's willing to put in the effort needed. I'd say he's just like Andy Reid's first quarterback, Donovan McNabb. He thinks he's Joe Cool. He thinks I'm resting on my skills because I got a lot of them, but he's never going to achieve what he could because he's not willing to put in the effort. Okay. Donovan McNabb with Andy Reid should have won 2 or 3 Super Bowls.
I kind of agree, but I think Andy Reid just made Donovan McNabb better than he actually
Yes.
was.
Oh, yeah.
So, but dude, okay. In all
But
seriousness,
I think he has that personality though, where he knows he's good. He knows he's gifted. But I don't know that he's a leader though.
I can't, dude.
This is the
I
problem,
can't.
though.
I'm sorry. I cannot agree with you.
There's a
That's
big
ridiculous.
difference here, though. Like, if Kyler Murray was drafted by the Niners, then yes, you could be like, oh, then they could craft him.
Yeah.
But he's been coached by the Cardinals.
Right.
So he's got bad instincts.
And the
six
teams
goats.
that were in front of him for the last 4 years, up until last year, Dave, which I do agree, they did give him some weapons. His offense was atrociously bad as far as like playmakers and weapons went for the last 3 years. Brock Purdy has had maybe the best running back of pass run options in the NFL in the last 5 years. He's had a top 3 tight end, a top 3 offensive line, and 3 or 4 decent to good wide receivers. Kyler Murray has had none of that. Literally none of that, even close to that level of goodness. Even last year, the Cardinals offense last year is still about the same as the broken, not playing, injured 49ers offense of last year. And Purdy was awful without his weapons. He was terrible when his weapons were gone, right? So you're telling me that Brock Purdy on the Cardinals team 2 years ago would have better numbers than Kyler Murray? You're insane. You're insane. No way. No way.
I think we're all in agreement that Kyler Murray has better skills. He has better ability.
Yeah.
It's just that it doesn't translate very well.
Right.
I also think it has to do with the franchise and the coaching. There is a big reason
But
why.
that's also the reason I think he's down, should be down on the list, is because that's making him a worse player.
Okay, fair.
That's my
All
whole point.
I'm-
If he was coached from beginning by the Niners, he'd probably be way better at quarterback.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Purdy on his own shouldn't be tier 2. His environment made him a tier 2.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
exactly.
trying to
That's
say
what
is,
we're saying.
is today, if I had to pick a quarterback to win the game, Purdy on the Niners or Kyler on the Cardinals, I would definitely take Purdy. So
Right.
on that, I will agree. But if I'm drafting an NFL team and I want a quarterback, am I taking Brock Purdy over Kyler Murray? Zero chance in hell I'm doing that. Zero chance.
If it
So
was
I like it,
straight out of
Dave.
college, like that totally makes sense to me. But at this
Yeah.
point in their career right now, I would take Brock Purdy 10 times out of 10.
Not me. Nope. I'd still take Kyler.
Because I can rely
still
on
take
him.
Kyler.
Brock Purdy makes good decisions like for
Right.
his team, and that's what I think it cares in big games.
I
That
get
matters more. Kyler
I
Murray
know.
will.
And Brock Purdy has shown it in the playoffs. Kyler hasn't even gotten there. So like, I get it, but you know, it's just, it's the Cardinals franchise has been a mess for 5
Well, there's
years.
also the side of having a running quarterback, Kyler Murray. Let's just hypothetically say he's much better than Brock Purdy. When you're running around that much, the possibility of getting hurt all the time too makes me like a little bit like hesitant to take a running quarterback.
I mean, there's a reason why Kyler doesn't get hurt though. He's so shifty and quick. He doesn't get
he
hit.
is.
He doesn't get hit. So, but he's shifty and quick because he's short, which also means he can't make certain throws because he can't see over the line, which is a legitimate problem. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that to me is a real problem. So you have to adjust your offense around that, which, I mean, okay, again, this is coaching. If Kyler Murray was on the Baltimore Ravens, if he was in the Baltimore Ravens offense right now, he wouldn't be near as good as Lamar Jackson, but he would be a hell of a lot better than what he is today. Do you know what I mean? He would be a legitimate top number 2 quarterback, I feel like, but he wouldn't be 1 because I think Lamar is legitimately better and he's a little bit taller and he doesn't have the same height problems. Not that Lamar's tall. Lamar's only like 6 foot, right? But Kyler's like 5'7" with stilts on. So, you know, it's a bigger problem. But all I'm saying is I have been a strong believer that quarterbacks are a reflection of their environment, which is why Jimmy Garoppolo had amazing stats with the 49ers people.
Right.
Do you know all the stats, the season stats that Brock Purdy broke 2 years ago that everybody was fawning over? Those were Jimmy Garoppolo records, guys. Okay. Those were records set by Jimmy Garoppolo that he did better than Joe Montana. Jimmy Garoppolo. Okay. And before him, Colin Kaepernick. Every single Shanahan quarterback has put up the almost identical stats. It's creepy. They're almost identical. So yeah, I think Brock Purdy's good, but
well, there's a difficult thing here. I mean, imagine if Brett Favre stayed on the Falcons his whole career. He'd probably just
he'd have been terrible. He'd have been awful. Dave, you said it yourself. Holmgren had to beat the crap out of him mentally to turn him into a real quarterback.
So in this situation, you've got Kyler Murray on the Cardinals with all this mess around him. Like, I don't want that quarterback. If you would give me maybe out of college and you coached by like a good coach and system, then
guys, Geno Smith, Sam Darnold to the Jets. What did they do when they went to a decently run franchise? Made Pro Bowls. Do you know what I'm saying? Right? The franchise determines the quarterback
he's also
success
tall enough to see, but yes,
as much as the quarterback does. I firmly believe that. I will say this too. If Jordan Love got drafted by the Browns, he would be garbage. He would be hot garbage, right? He went to the right franchise who could mold him and knew that he needed time, and he's still working on it. But I think Jordan Love's going to be a perennially great, maybe not top 5 quarterback like Rodgers was, but great, like definitely top 10 guy.
Well, he's tier 2
because
right now.
the Packers will mold him to that because they know how to do that.
They just need to get someone who can catch a damn ball.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
that's why we cheered so loud when they drafted someone who could catch.
Agreed, 100%. All right,
Should
so
get, Dougie's.
Yeah, let's get Dougie's opinion.
Dougie?
That's a great one because it made me mad. So, Dougie, go ahead. Dougie, go ahead. What's yours?
My thing is tier 3. We've got Drake and Caleb here. And are we going off of just potential or actual production on the field?
We're going off, I think, this year. Like, this is because they do this tier list every year.
So
it's like this year.
They think it's a legitimate starter, but needs a heavier run game or defensive component to win.
Right. And right now, I would say Drake May, that makes a ton of sense. I think Drake May has a lot of potential. I just think he's going to take a little time to get there.
Yeah, I'm not a big Drake May believer.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's pretty good. I think
if he was in the right system, maybe. But like, I mean,
we'll see what
really last year, Sam Darnold had a really, really good season, and you got Drake May and Caleb right next to him. That's my thing.
Yeah, I think Sam Darnold got done a little bit dirty, but to be fair, Sam Darnold did have an amazing cast around him when he put.
Yeah, he had a great situation,
and we only have one season.
And Bo Nix is one tick ahead of him. This whole tier 3 is just a mess.
Well, Sam Darnold was the biggest riser. He moved up by 9 points from the year before.
Right.
So he went from 29th up to 20th.
As he should, but I don't know. We got to see what Sam Darnold does in Seattle because he doesn't have the same offense and he doesn't have the same weapons. So if he puts up another 38 plus touchdown season and they win a bunch of games, then I think Sam Darnold firmly seats himself in a tier 2 next year.
I don't know if you heard about Torrey Horton. He's looking a lot like JJ out there, a taller, better looking version of Justin Jefferson.
Oh, is he now?
Yeah, because he's on your fantasy team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good luck with that, dude. Good luck with that. Yeah.
He's Justin Jefferson 2.0 confirmed.
Yeah. A taller, not so good version. Got it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I mean, dude, I got JSN. I want Sam Darnold to throw JSN 12 passes a game. So yes, please turn JSN into the next JJ. Or
my only big gripe with this list is tier 3 is all over the place. Like Drake and Caleb should be at least at the very bottom of tier 3. Like it should be very clear. Maybe
I think
tier 4.
There's just maybe not enough data on those guys. 1 or 2 seasons.
Like, for example, Caleb has a lot of potential. He has a great arm. He can make crazy plays. But until I see him be able to run an offense well, I just don't think he should be right next to Sam Darnold.
And make quick decisions and
run an offense great.
We need to see Caleb make quick decisions in real time and stop playing backyard football all the time. Like, that's what, and I think Ben Johnson is the right guy to show him that because that's what Ben Johnson turned Jared Goff into. But he didn't have to work as hard because Jared Goff came from Sean McVay, and Sean McVay knew how to do that as well. So
I think Drake and Caleb should be at the top of tier 4 around Russell Wilson, Justin Fields territory.
Agreed.
And that's the thing too, is that like, look at Jordan Love. A lot of people think he's like super great. And some people think he could maybe be tier 3. And I think him being at the end of tier 2 or but next to Purdy and Dak, like I think he's a better quarterback than Dak, but he doesn't have the body of work that quite as much as Dak does, even though we beat them in the playoffs. So like these kind of things make sense, but I think you have to like earn it more than just off of potential. Like, you know, thinking he has a big arm or whatever.
I think that's why this list is pretty decent because it's not really going off potential. It's got a bit of recency bias, which is why Jaden Daniels is right behind Stafford, by the way, right? Jaden Daniels has one good season and he's like the 6th best quarterback in the NFL. I mean, I think that's a little high.
He went to the Super Bowl and then won one, and he's good at what he needs
championship game. No, I'm talking about Jaden Daniels being right behind Stafford.
Oh, right, Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, so Jaden Daniels being the very top of tier 2 tells you there's a bit of recency bias, but I mean, how could you not want Jaden Daniels after what he did last year, right? So
Jaden Daniels, because he did fall apart a little tiny bit in the playoffs or whatever.
He scored 30 points, didn't he? In the game that they lost.
But
That's like
again,
when Rodgers lost in the playoffs against Arizona despite putting up 40 points. You can't put that on the quarterback.
Yeah, he
And-
went from playing nearly perfect football to slightly less perfect football, I guess. So
But-
yeah, maybe tier 2 is fine.
guys, look at CJ Stroud's second year. Look at Jordan Love's year last year. Year 2 is tougher than year 1 for a lot of quarterbacks. And let's see what Caleb does. Now, I think Caleb might be maybe the opposite of that because he was so bad at certain things year 1, and he has a much better coordinator now. But I think he's definitely going to struggle. I think Jaden Daniels definitely takes a step back. That's just my opinion. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh yeah, I definitely believe Jaden's going to take a step back because he flew up so high, but I still think he's going to be solid. Yeah. I like what Teron Armstead said after Miami and Chicago were done practicing this last week. They asked him about what do you think about Caleb, and he said he's playing that quarterback position. It has to improve pretty fast, in my opinion, on a consistent basis. Caleb was not able to recognize when he was in danger. He wasn't feeling pressure. He wasn't feeling blitzes. He wasn't seeing blitzes pre-snap.
Yeah.
So those are all pretty damning. If you're missing everything out there, and you need to process stuff.
His pocket presence is not very good. He has other issues too with not stepping up in the pocket.
This is the same thing I'm saying. He's playing backyard football. He wants to run. He wants to let things develop. He wants to use his cannon arm to throw the ball down the field when guys are cutting in. Like he plays USC football still. Like you cannot do that in the NFL.
These aren't Pac-12 defenses.
No. And dude, Kyler Murray had the same problem when he came in. Baker Mayfield had the same problem when he came in. That Sooners USC. I'm sorry, I can't remember the coach's name off my head. I should. He's a very famous coach. Who's the USC coach right now? Why can't I think of his name?
You talked about him last week, even.
I know it's on the tip of my tongue. Lincoln Riley. Jeez,
that's it.
The Lincoln Riley offense is really, really good for college football. It's amazing for college football. It is not good for the NFL because it requires too much backyard football, too much athleticism, too many throws because you're just better than the other guy. Guess what? In the NFL, that doesn't really happen, and it takes him a while. But Baker has a talent. We saw him step up, right? I think Kyler Murray has that same potential, which is why I shot back at Dave's stupid decision.
How is Baker below CJ Stroud, though, is my question. CJ Stroud's ahead of Baker right now?
Yeah. I mean, CJ's got skills, but, last year was pretty rough. His offensive line is terrible.
There's no way he should be ahead of Baker Mayfield.
He lost his wide receivers, too, though.
He did. He did. He had a good running
game. But it just looked bad. It'd be one thing if he looked good still, and he was just playing bad.
I think he kind of came back down to earth a little bit, but he also does have a terrible offensive line, and that does not help. It doesn't help. And it's not any better this year, guys. So, I don't know what CJ is going to look like, but it could not be pretty, if I'm being honest. They got him 2 more wide receivers, but I should have got him 2 more offensive linemen, realistically. So, but, that's my opinion.
I mean, I'm not a hater of CJ Stroud. I'm just trying to be honest. Like Baker Mayfield, if I'm going against a CJ Stroud team or Baker Mayfield, I'm way more scared of Baker Mayfield making.
Agreed. 100%. I think Baker Mayfield is a better quarterback right now. I definitely agree with that. Yeah. But again, Baker took a while. CJ jumped on the scene just like Jaden did. So, dude, here's a perfect example, guys. Justin Herbert jumps on the scene rookie year, throws 40 touchdowns. He looked amazing. I mean, he's been good since, but everyone thinks Justin Herbert is one of these top 10 quarterbacks. I mean, is he really?
Yeah, him being up there at the top of tier 2 list in front of everybody. He had a resurgence this year where he
his stats have gotten almost worse every single year. Now, part of that is he doesn't have as many weapons. I mean, he was thrown.
But I think this last year, didn't he have good analytics? Like his PFF and everything was really high.
He still has good analytics, yes. But he jumped on the scene, and people tend to remember that. First impressions, it's oh, this guy's amazing. And then his stats go down, but they still have him up there.
He should not be at that spot on the list. He shouldn't be ahead of Goff and Jalen.
I think
last year to start the season, it's Harbaugh, so they're going to rely on the run game. Right? And then it wasn't until halfway through the season that they realized, oh crap, our starting running backs are hurt, so we don't have the run game. And that's when they started to let him, let her rip. So he did a little bit better. His stats got better in the second half, but
they did. Well, not having Austin Eckler, I think, really hurt him because he would dump it off to Austin Eckler all the time. That was his safety blanket. That inflated a lot of his stats a little bit because Eckler's probably, after the catch, maybe the best running back in the NFL after the catch. I would say he's probably top 3.
That's how I got my name on our trophy. Is your name on the trophy yet?
Shut up, Dave.
That was the season.
Dude, Eckler was unbelievable,
God,
right? Yeah. And so no Eckler, no Keenan Allen. Yeah, is Justin Herbert a guy that elevates everybody around him? Because it didn't look like it last year. Do you know what I mean? So
Right, he had elite pieces around him, so it'll be an interesting season. He's got some young weapons.
he's got McConkey.
Can Quentin Johnson improve?
Yeah.
He was terrible until the second half of last year, and
Yeah.
even then, you really don't know what you got. So he needs to be able to develop some young wide receivers before we can really believe he's going to be the leader of men. So
I agree. But in general, I think this list is pretty good. There's a couple I'd shift around, but I don't see anything egregious. Even Stafford being tier 1 isn't egregious to me because you could see half the people almost voted him tier 2, the other half tier 1. I'm totally fine with that. Like if he finishes tier 1, fine. I think the list is fairly accurate as far as the NFL.
I would probably change like 50% of this tier list, but like
Doug doesn't
it's
like
hard
it.
to make them.
Doug doesn't like it. I don't have a problem with it. I actually
I'm not saying it's bad. Most tier lists are terrible. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like okay.
Yeah. Like if I made this tier list, I probably would have Mahomes behind
Burrow
and Lamar and
Allen,
even though he beats him in the playoffs.
and Stafford would be
Because
tier 2.
Stafford would be 2. Herbert would be farther back. Baker would be higher up. I would
Yes.
put Love ahead of Dak. I would.
Yes.
I would absolutely put Love ahead of Dak. I think regular season Dak's a pretty decent quarterback. I think playoff Dak is unbelievably disgustingly bad. So, and the one game they played each other shows that. So yeah, Love I feel like is a better quarterback than Dak. But otherwise, I've seen worse lists. It's not bad. It's definitely not bad.
And once you get to the very bottom of the list or the lower half, you're kind of splitting hairs. It's like type thing.
Yeah.
But
Tier
I agree
3,
with what you just said. I think, if I was looking at the list and reshuffling, like Baker Mayfield should be near the top of tier 2 and Herbert should be down a bit.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud should be down a bit. CJ Stroud should definitely fucking not be ahead of Dak and Love.
All right, here's the real question. This is the real question. No Patrick Mahomes. We there's 3 of us between Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrow. You're an NFL exec who can draft him his rookie year, but you know exactly how he's going to turn out. You know exactly what his skill set is going to be. Of those 3 quarterbacks, which one do you take between Burrow, Jackson, and Josh Allen? Which one do you take? Dave, which one would you take?
the one that's gone to a Super Bowl.
So you're taking Burrow. Doug?
They're all awesome, but like 1,000% Joe Burrow. The guy is just magnificent at throwing the football.
Fair enough.
Where he can his placement deep ball on any kind of
Unbelievable,
route,
right?
insane.
Yeah.
If you
And
need to
that's-
win a championship game and have a good wide receiver, whatever, and make big ass plays, Joe Burrow is like gonna do it. I mean, Josh Allen also probably, but Joe Burrow just has some like sharpness to him.
So I love Joe Burrow. He's on my fantasy team, but I would take Josh Allen. Josh Allen. Like, and
His running ability.
Yeah, exactly. He's a goddamn tank. And like, I feel like he's going to last longer in the NFL. Now, Burrow also got demolished because of his offensive line. So we don't know what he would look like in a good offensive line system. He's been amazing, even despite that. Do I think Joe Burrow's better at throwing the ball? Yeah, way better. Joe Burrow's the best thrower of the football in the NFL, hands down. It's not even close.
Mm-hmm.
But Josh Allen is a goddamn monster with that football in his hand. And I think that added issue for your defense, to me, would be enough for me to take him 1. And yeah, man, Lamar's so good too. Oh man, it's so hard. I mean, it's like really close.
Well, the question
really
is like,
close.
we don't know what Lamar looks like in a traditional offense. He's so good in his offense, right? But then
but he's pretty accurate down the field. He got some flack his first couple of years, but if you look at Lamar down the field, he's pretty accurate. Like he hasn't had great wide receivers.
But he just hasn't won in the playoffs, even though he's in the system.
If Lamar Jackson had Jamar Chase, I think he'd look pretty good with Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase
might be.
Earlier, we were talking before the show. You were saying that Patrick Mahomes' deep ball is crap.
And
if you look at Tyreek Hill, the only reason they had all those deep passes, Tyreek was 4 yards ahead, and he could adjust.
He could adjust to the ball.
But if you watch Jamar Chase, he has that separation, and he never has to adjust.
Never, because Joe Burrow is the best thrower of the football. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other than Rodgers, I think Joe Burrow is the best thrower of the football I've ever seen. And I think Burrow is creeping up on Rodgers because like Rodgers
throws it to the right spot and like makes
his timing is so good too. His timing is so good. Like the only person I've ever seen throw the football like that is Rodgers. And like he was, unstoppable for
when he has the ball in his hand, I expect Joe Burrow to get in the end zone and throw a touchdown. Like I just think that's what I just expect to happen like every time, even though it probably won't. But I mean, that's just how good him and Jamar Chase and those guys are.
Yeah. no, I think Joe Burrow is the best quarterback in the NFL, but I think Josh Allen is the most dangerous weapon in the NFL. So I would take.
The thing is about
take
Allen's
Josh Allen.
running is it makes him so consistent. He can consistently just get first downs and make magic happen that way.
Yeah.
And you're just like, how is he doing this? How is he winning all these games with like no names on his team?
Yeah. No,
and that's really amazing.
3rd and 8 plus, I would want Joe Burrow. If anything less than 3rd and 8, give me Josh Allen every day because he can get 7 yards rushing on you any day of the week.
It's kind of like when Favre was doing it with the Packers, where like you don't even like understand why they're winning all these games. Like there were just going to be some random wacky play that happens that Favre does.
Yep.
Even though he's not like a big running whatever, but he would do it.
Yep. Yeah, no, and I think there's no wrong answer. If you guys would have said Lamar, I'd have been like, good answer. It's those two guys, are 3 of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen, and it's just sucks
hard to say Lamar because he hasn't done much in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
I agree, really and I was just gonna say it's hard because they keep running into the Chiefs, but I feel like this is the year one of them's gonna get over. But Jalen Hurts has won a Super Bowl, but I don't put Jalen Hurts in that category.
Okay, what about this though? The tier 2 quarterbacks. If you could just pick any of those tier 2 quarterbacks to win a playoff game right now, who would you choose?
Ooh, man. Okay, wait, let me look at it again.
Well, I'm talking about a playoff game like 2 days.
A playoff game right now?
Right now. If you had to drive to the stadium and win a game against anyone for like $1 million, like what quarterback are you taking?
I mean, we have to take Jaden Daniels out because I think that's the obvious question because he's definitely the most talented there.
Yeah, he should. Let's take Jaden Daniels out.
Let's take Jaden Daniels out, right? Just like we took out Mahomes in the last one, right? Okay, so that leaves Justin Herbert. I mean, on the Chargers, no way.
No.
Justin Herbert. If he played for any other franchise, maybe.
Jared Goff is not too bad.
No, Jared Goff is a terrible postseason quarterback. Have you seen his stats in the postseason?
He might throw 5 interceptions.
Dude, he's so bad in the postseason. No way. Not Stroud. Dude, Jalen Hurts is so good in the postseason and so bad in the regular season, though.
But also, he doesn't throw a lot. He just throws kind of when he needs to.
I mean, for me, Jalen seems like the obvious one, but I might take the Bake Show.
That's what I'm saying.
Being honest, right? I might take the Bake Show. So 2 years ago, when the Buccaneers beat the crap out of the Eagles in the playoff game, Baker tore them up. Mm-hmm. And then they went and drafted 2 cornerbacks, right? Because Baker annihilated that defense, right? So, and then the Bucs ended up losing the next game to the Niners, I believe? Yeah. So I think Bake Show might be my guy. But Jalen is really, really good in the playoffs. But again,
he also had one of the greatest teams ever.
I think Jalen having Saquon Barkley makes him pretty good too.
I mean, the Eagles are really their roster last year was insane.
Like and again,
number 2 wideout is a Heisman winner at wide receiver, which doesn't happen.
And they have the best offensive line in football, without question. The best
their defense is probably the best defense in the league,
and the best defensive line in football. So, I like, dude. Jalen has played excellent in the playoffs. Well, other than the Packer game where he looked terrible, guys. But I think I take Bake Show, dude. I think Bake Show.
If the Packers played him in the playoffs, I would be scared out of my mind because the guy is a good quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. Bake Show scares me the most out of all these quarterbacks,
especially because he's on a team with no expectations. Like then you lose and get your butt cracked, kicked by Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and I love Jordan Love, but I think Jordan Love on a heater, I would take Jordan Love on a heater.
But even remember against the 49ers, he had that one bad play where he threw the pick that made no sense, and you're just like, there's just that element of Jordan Love where it's like he got to get that junk out of his system.
Dude, he's got a bit of Favre to him, man. That's what it is. Like he just wants to sling it. Go ahead, Dave.
Baker's going to get a couple of runs where he just energizes the entire stadium too.
Yeah.
And that's where he can just rally the troops. It don't matter what you're doing. Yeah, I just go with Baker for that.
It's just one of those things where the expectations for Baker and his teams are low, but he's so good compared to that like he's just in a good situation. It's just like there isn't that pressure expectation. And it's just like you just feel like he's eventually just going to beat you because he's just too good.
Baker's one of those guys that I think he's got like enough anger built up that he's going to force himself to get better every year. Do you know what I mean? Like, Cleveland did him dirty. They should have kept him. That was dumb. But that was the best thing. That was the best thing that happened to him, though, is that he got out of Cleveland, right? And so, again, he goes to Carolina, just like Sam Darnold. They're a terrible franchise, and then he goes to a good franchise, and he's starting to look good. So, yeah, Baker was really good last year. I think he's only going to be better. He's scary. And Love, when he's on a heater, is really scary, too. I mean, yeah. So, but Love just needs to be more consistent. He'll get there. But I think I would take Baker first, Jalen second, then Love, then Purdy, then Stroud, then Goff, then Dak, and I would take Herbert last because he's on the Chargers.
Just because it's the Chargers.
Because he can't win. You cannot win a playoff game.
Cowboys and Chargers last. Hard to
Yeah,
believe.
I mean,
Okay,
Yeah.
here's another question for tier 3. Let's take Kirk Chains out of this because he might be the obvious answer. Which quarterback would you want to go against the most?
Aaron Rodgers, 100% right now. 100%. I could play 7 linebackers in that game because I know he's not going to throw it 20 yards down the field. Like, I'll take Aaron Rodgers all day right now against that. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Dave, what do you think is which quarterback would you most want to play against? Like, you think is like going to be the worst performing in tier 3?
Caleb.
We both picked quarterbacks from our teams. How about that? It's because we've seen their weaknesses. Dude, Aaron has been trashed in the playoffs for a long time.
Yeah, he has been. But yeah,
I would absolutely take Aaron Rodgers. I would take on him all day right now.
Yeah, I think in the playoffs, Dave might be kind of correct because you amplify the defense. There's more pass rush, more pressure, and it would be tough for Caleb. He'd probably make a couple cool plays to like get people excited or something, right? So that could be.
And the only reason he'd be close is because their defense is keeping it 17-13.
Yeah. All right.
We're would like get one tackled by one guy and then just start only throwing 5-yard passes.
All right, we're almost at an hour, so I got one more for you guys. But we'll get this under an hour, folks. Thanks for sticking with us. Okay, you got to pick to start a franchise with these guys. Between these guys, okay? Bo Nix, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, or Michael Penix. Who's you take?
My coach?
Me. Just kidding. Your coach is. Let's pick an average coach. Let's say. Your coach is, oh my gosh, who's an average coach? Who's the coach of the, dang it. It's hard to do. Kevin Stefanski for Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski.
Oh, that's solid.
Yeah. Solid, not a great roster maybe, but you got a solid coach, right? Who likes to run the ball though. So, okay. So remember, you've got Bo Nix.
Okay.
You've got Drake May. Okay. You've got Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, and Michael Penix. Who are you taking out of that group?
I know you want me to say Bryce Young, and I might say Bryce Young.
That's maybe who I'll say.
This is so hard. I don't know.
I mean, okay, because Caleb has a lot of potential, but I think he's shown too much that needs to be worked on. So I would take Caleb out of the situation.
Bo Nix is like the easy answer-ish, sort of, because you think he could maybe develop.
I think he can be coached. That's just it.
Bo can definitely be coached, and Bo has 7,100 snaps under him because he played 12 years.
And he has a lot of skills.
It's not like he has a whole plethora of great wide receivers that he's playing with.
But he's limited to his system though. I think Bo Nix is a better version of Brock Purdy or the similar version of Brock Purdy.
Sure. Well, he also can run around a bit. He can make plays happen. He
had a decent rushing.
Yeah, I'd
probably go with Bo, honestly.
Okay.
If you have a decent team, Bo is going to like elevate the team a little bit, maybe not a ton, but he will do a good job. But he's also not going to screw you over and like do like probably really terrible things.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be like Mahomes level doing some crazy throw off a back foot, like huge arm throw or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's tough for me because I do want to say Bryce Young because I do like Bryce Young a lot. I think
I'm looking forward to watching Bryce more than the rest of these quarterbacks.
Dude,
he's the most exciting with that setup that they
in the 2 series he played. He threw this awesome corner ball to Tet McMillan, and Tet reached up and grabbed it over the cornerback, and I was like, oh yeah, more of that. Like do that all the time. But I'm a Michael Penix fan. I think Michael Penix throws the most beautiful deep ball I've ever seen. Maybe not as good as Joe Burrow, but Penix's deep ball is just so pretty. It's like I want to see what he does.
He's the exciting dark horse here, right?
He's a dark horse. Penix is a dark horse. He's also 28 years old. So like he's got a lot of snaps under him. Like, well, I don't know how old he is. I think he's like 25, but him and Bo Nix played many, many years of college. So they're both like coachable. They've been through a lot of systems, a lot of coordinators. They've seen a lot of defenses. So, like, I think they're both going to have really good years. I think Bryce it was just a product of a bad coach, and now he's got a good coach. We can see the difference, and I think maybe Caleb will be the same this year. I think Caleb's going to look pretty awful, Dave, weeks 1 through 6.
Caleb's going to have the kind of year that Bryce had last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I'm hoping that he has the same last 6 weeks that Bryce had. It's very possible. Well,
so, but what about Drake in this Patriots system with Vrabel? Do we think he's like going to be, just an average QB, or do we think he's going to actually take a step with Vrabel? Like, what do you guys think about Drake?
He has that explosive weapon in Travion Henderson, who's looking amazing.
Yeah,
I think the wide receivers aren't amazing, but Steph Diggs should be able to be enough to help move the chains. I think he should be I think he should be fine this year. The AFC East, they have the Bills, and that's it. The Dolphins defense isn't scary. The Jets will be interesting, but
Drake may finish like 4th in QB rushing yards last year too. Yeah, right. Which people don't realize. Like, he ran the ball a lot. Now his offensive line is garbage, so that's probably part of it, right? He was running for his life, but I mean, he's not a weapon like Lamar or Josh Allen are, but like, he's a lot more athletic than people think. So I wonder what he's going to look like this year. Is he going to take a step back? Because I definitely think Jaden's taking a step back. I think Caleb takes a step back early and then gets better later, like Dave was saying. I wonder what Drake
got that left tackle, and he got a running back.
He did,
and that left tackle destroyed the left side of the line on one of the plays in the game. I guess is just amazing. So
I think Drake might be a dark horse to be the best out of those guys. I think in the right system, he could be the best out of those guys.
They should have a solid defense to help him. So we'll see.
I think he's going to be a system quarterback. I feel like with East Coast media bias, I'm just constantly thinking like there's never any talk about him or any hyping of him ever.
Right.
Like,
isn't that odd?
Think if there's any glimmer of hope or something exciting, the East Coast media would just be like all over this. And
you don't listen to the same pods that I do, apparently.
Oh yeah, because I'm sure there's Yeah,
there's a fair amount.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Wild thinks Drake May is the next coming for sure. So like, there's some.
ESPN is like extremely East Coast bias. Like,
I don't listen to them.
Yeah, they do talk about Drake May on ESPN. Speaking of which, final point: ESPN, don't ruin Red Zone. Stop, please. Don't even buy it. Stop it.
I need a petition.
Stop it. Don't buy it. All right, guys. Well, it's been fun, and see you next time.